In 1987, the aviation industry was most definitely a men's club. Pilots, engineers, and those who served in the military populated upper management. Women had to make inroads by charting their own courses, but felt isolated. A small group of women aviation professionals decided it was time for action. What if they had a place where they could come together and share what they had learned? It was a simple yet powerful idea. Invite a few women over for lunch to exchange ideas, share experiences, talk about how to reach other like-minded women, and work like crazy to change the status quo. This group made an ambitious plan to reach out to professional women in the aviation industry throughout the world. Attorneys, insurance professionals, business executives, airport administrators, and aviation regulators. Everyone. In 1989, they invited these women to attend the founding conference of the International Aviation Women's Association, now known as IAWA. The site was a bastion of male exclusivity, Chicago's Union League Club. The 33 women attending rolled up their sleeves and got to work. In a series of roundtable discussions, the founding members developed a vision for their organization and formulated its objectives. Even though exclusion or isolation of its members in their chosen field had been at the core of IAWA's genesis, the prevailing view was that achieving the organization's objectives, providing its members with a forum for open and meaningful exchanges of ideas, required rigorous membership standards and a shared professional perspective. Over the next 2 years, members gathered annually in Washington, D.C., with Sharon Holohan as IAWA's first president. By developing its mailing list of women throughout the world, IAWA's outreach effort began to grow membership. Kathleen Fadley recalls 1991 conference workshops as being interesting and informative, with a special focus on the issues facing women who strive to be both leaders and rainmakers, as well as kind and loving human beings who also have time to sleep and do their nails. Senator Nancy Kassebaum spoke at the conference, which concluded with an address by shuttle astronaut Marcia Ivins, a woman whose career knows no ceilings, glass or otherwise. Sarah Simmons served as president from 1991 to 1993. Under her leadership, IAWA launched a quarterly newsletter, began work on a membership directory, which would become an important networking tool for members, and in addition to hosting a conference in her home city of San Francisco, oversaw IAWA's first international conference. With more than 50 members from locations as varied as London, Paris, Rome, Argentina, Canada, and Bucharest, IAWA chose Brussels for the first conference outside the United States, and that year first invited women who were interested in joining but had not yet met the membership criteria to attend. The first woman to walk in space, Russian cosmonaut Svetlana Savitskaya, delivered the keynote address and much, much more. IAWA members will not soon forget Svetlana's late-night serenade of Russian folk songs or the unscheduled stop of the Antwerp excursion bus that resulted in an invitation to the grounds of NATO headquarters. Not everything about the Brussels conference was new. The camaraderie that had become the hallmark of IAWA was there and growing. And some traditions which had been established in the short history of the organization were observed faithfully. The tradition of appreciating the local culinary offerings, the tradition of indulging in the spirits favored in the region, and perhaps most important is the tradition that sets IAWA apart from most professional organizations, the tradition of shopping. If anyone was wondering whether IAWA was increasing the visibility of women in the aviation industry, Lisa Savitt, who served as president from 1993 to 1995, provided the answer. She noticed that other organizations had started using IAWA as a resource for finding women to speak at their own conferences and events. With Lisa at the helm, IAWA experienced a 100% increase in membership and held its second European conference in 1995, convening in Paris. Sharon Irwin summed up the experience. IAWA, like Paris, is truly unique. Camaraderie, professionalism, and joie de vivre make IAWA unique among professional organizations. After Dot Etheridge found it necessary to cut her presidential term short to attend to increased demands at work, Kathy Posner served as president from 1996 to 1999. During her term, Kathy oversaw development of IAWA's website, new promotional materials, a new membership directory, and a revamping of the IAWA newsletter. Petroleum Helicopters Chair and CEO Carol Suggs, a speaker at IAWA's 1994 conference and now IAWA friend, hosted the opening reception at the 1996 New Orleans convention. Members experienced the Crescent City to the fullest. Carolyn Corvey of Boeing, who had spoken at the New Orleans conference, arranged to treat 1997 Seattle conferees to a private tour of Boeing's Everett Field. After viewing a 767 aircraft in various stages of assembly, the tour was declared a complete success when, in true Iowa fashion, the cash register began to ring at the Boeing gift shop, proving Iowa women can shop no matter where they find themselves. Iowa celebrated its 10th anniversary amid medieval castles in Ireland. Everyone went home with lots of Waterford crystal, wool sweaters, and an appreciation for the wonderful pub drink, the Irish shanty. Taking stock of how far Iowa had come in its first decade, President Kathy Posner remarked, "You cannot go to an aviation industry event these days and not meet at least one, and usually several, Iowa members." In 1999, Iowa celebrated the Year of Aviation in Montreal. The following year, FAA Administrator Jane Garvey spoke, and Iowa looked at how it could lead the way in the new millennium. While everyone was struggling to heal from the tragic events of September 11th, Iowa came together for its 13th conference in London. President Eileen Cashman Jermak described the soul-searching that went into the decision not to cancel. As the days passed following the terrorist events, it became clear that it was even more important for us to gather as an organization to share concerns, present perspectives, discuss developments, and dialogue regarding the industry's management of aviation challenges during this unprecedented time. At Iowa's 2002 conference in Phoenix, led by President Patty Moores, a record 108 participants heard remarks from Francine Kerner, Chief Counsel of the Transportation Security Administration, and the Honorable Marion Blakey, Administrator of the Federal Aviation Administration, among others. The United States Ambassador to Portugal hosted the opening reception at the following year's 15th annual conference, held in Lisbon. As a result of the work of many Iowa women, but in particular the leadership of Cecile Hatfield, a scholarship program was established for qualified women majoring in aviation law, management, business, or finance. Beginning in 2004, 3 scholarships were awarded each year. By 2007, the program expanded to include a 4th scholarship, earmarked for a student at a university outside the United States in a country where Iowa has held a conference. Under the leadership of President Joanne Young, Shanghai was the site of Iowa's conference in 2005. In an Iowa first, the conference had a co-host, the General Administration of Civil Aviation of China. Oh, and of course there was shopping. To increase outreach and benchmarking with other women's and aviation associations, Iowa established liaisons with the Washington Aero Club and the ICAO Focal Point on Women. And in 2006, Iowa created an advisory board of distinguished industry professionals. While president, Julie Ellis saw a record-breaking 200 women flock to Iowa's 2006 conference in New York. FAA Administrator Marion Blakey again addressed the conference and remarked, "No matter which side of the globe I'm on, Iowa is there. That's a good thing for women. That's great for aviation." At the 2007 conference in Buenos Aires, Iowa's VP International Elizabeth Friedenberg received special recognition for her years of service and her help in welcoming Iowa to her hometown. Which brings us here, back to Chicago for Iowa's 20th annual conference under the leadership of President Deborah Fowler. Just in case you're wondering, there will be plenty of shopping opportunities, a whole magnificent mile's worth. During its first 20 years, Iowa has extended its reach to circle the globe. It has seen its members rise in the aviation industry, and it has provided guideposts for women seeking to chart a career trajectory. Was it all smooth sailing? Absolutely not. Sharon Holohan explains, "Yes, we had growing pains. Since our members come from many different fields in the industry, there are some varying opinions as to what direction we should be taking. The thing that has kept us together is our shared sense that the aviation industry is exciting and challenging, and we all enjoy being a part of it. Iowa affords opportunities for professional women in aviation that are simply unmatched by any other organization. It provides opportunities to forge relationships with dynamic and interesting women from every part of the aviation industry and every part of the world. But what impact has Iowa had on those who have not been there since the beginning?" Melissa Harder's reflections on her first Iowa conference speak to the perspective of new members. "I have come to the conclusion that groups such as Iowa are usually born of necessity, formed by individuals who have a present need and are foresighted enough to see the benefits of expanding the circle. Aviation as a whole is still a predominantly male industry. Until the world equalizes in that regard, it is helpful to know what other women in various related fields observe and experience, and how they have dealt with their situations. A writer to a British magazine as recently as 1984 said, "Cannot the ladies leave entirely to the gentlemen one or two worlds? And I plead for aviation for one?" "Dear sir," comes our response, "as respects aviation, the answer is no. Please make another choice."